Hey everyone, this is Jim. I'm with Josh Farr today of First Nation Financial. Josh, I had a question for you.
Yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about mortgages, and I know you're in the Houston, Texas area. What's going on in that market? If you live in that market, is the American dream still alive? Is it tough there? What's going on there today?
The answer to your question is absolutely. The American dream is alive and vibrant in Texas as a whole. Um, the largest population growth in the nation, growing cities and economies. Uh, People just are doing better because they're leaving all of the states with the bad policies and the bad tax policies and going where it's beneficial to live, where we can actually live and, have rights as individuals and have the American dream of buying a home and working a good job. The cost of living is lower, the cost of housing is lower, and people are generally just nice.
Yeah, cool. One of the questions I guess that I wanted to add to that is I remember what it was like buying my first house, but I mean, it was a long time ago now. So for a couple or even an individual who is just paying a lot of money in rent, that place where you're looking at where do I make the transfer jumping into paying rent and buying a house? If somebody's in that condition right now, what would you say to them?
Move now. That's the answer to that question. I mean, we've done a number of loans for people who are paying less now owning a home than what their rent was before.
Wow.
They own a house. Their family is much more comfortable. They got a garage. They have a yard. They have space for their animals. It's just it's ridiculous the way home prices are right now, and they're only going up. If you can jump in now, anytime within the next 24 to 36 months, now is the time to buy a house. The quality of life is very important, and some people really overlook it. But that
Yeah.
quality of life is really what makes the difference. When you're getting up in the morning and going to work, you're saying, "Man, I'm coming back to my own place."
Yeah.
Well, this idea of paying rent and is just throwing money down the drain. The fastest and the most secure way of making sure that you have some sort of nest egg outside of a 401k, outside of a failing social security climate, is to make sure that you own a home, and over the next 25 to 30 years, pay that home off.
Yeah. I know I talked to some of the old timers, and what happens is they bought their house 20, 30, or longer years ago. They sell it, and that becomes sort of a nest egg for the rest of their lives when they downsize.
Yeah, absolutely. There's that, and then there's also the options of reverse mortgages. This idea of the prices are too high, or it's going to go down. Over the last 30 years, we've seen home prices increase something like 320%.
Yeah.
Over the last 5 years, it's gone up 58%. So that
Yeah.
difference over the last 5 years is telling you something. We got to jump. The idea of waiting to buy a home for rates to get better, for prices to go down, whatever it is, I don't see, and all of the professionals that I talk to, the real estate professionals I talk to, we don't see the price of home coming down anytime soon.
Yeah. Now, I know maybe some people feel a little embarrassed that maybe they think I'm not making enough money, or they're afraid what will happen if somebody sits down and looks at their finances. But in the back of their mind, they would really love to own a home and to just get out of that rent situation. What do you say to
So
couples like that, to just come in and talk to you? Or,
the beauty about Texas is you can find a home from 150,000 to 150 million. And we're not talking about house. We're not talking about like a little tiny home. It's like a real house you can actually live in, 3 bedroom, 1 or 2 bath. You get into something great for cheap, and you
yeah,
don't have to be too far outside of the city. Um, that's the beauty of Texas. That's the beauty of Houston specifically. Great market, great people, great financing options. The financing options are what makes the difference. At this time, it's the first time in history we get homes where we're picking up with 97% financing with a 2% grant for people making under $60,000 a year in income.
wow.
That's amazing. That means you can get into a house, notwithstanding seller credits that you can get in addition to that, for 1% down. 1%. I
Now,
mean, we've recently done a couple loans for firefighters where they've left with money in their pocket. It's that amazing.
yeah,
It's a
that
great time to buy a home.
okay. So let's say I'm listening to you for the first time and I want to get a hold of you. Should I get a hold of you first, or do I look for a house first, or do I contact a real estate agent? What do I do?
This is a great question. The most important part about buying a home is making sure you're qualified for the loan.
Okay.
This idea of, jump to the real estate agent, go start looking at homes, and then come back, it's the biggest mistake, period. All the real estate agents we work with know, and they know this, and they come to us first, or they try to make sure their clients get financed first. And it's one thing to get a pre-approval on a loan, right? Anybody
Yes.
can write up a pre-approval. But getting an actual loan approval, conditional loan approval, and having that in your hand and chopping with that and the pre-approval letter makes all the difference, I believe. And it's what separates the buyers, the successful buyers, from the ones that are falling out of escrow.
I see. So just explain that last part quickly. What's the difference between the letter and having that actually approved?
So here's what happens when you get a pre-approval letter. It's based on your credit score, and having reviewed your credit report, and that's all it is, right? A lot of the times we don't have all of the documentation in hand. When we get a conditional loan approval from a lender, we take this conditional loan approval and we use all of the qualifying conditions, okay? And we make an assessment as professionals who've been in this business for well over 20 years of what is and is not possible in getting a loan.
I see.
Yeah.
So that's
So
kind of like the real thing.
Yeah, I mean, if we give you a conditional loan approval and we write a pre-approval letter behind that conditional loan approval, you know that you're golden.
Yeah. So that's like when you get in the mail, you've been approved for a credit card, but you really haven't been approved. That's what the first one is like, versus just sign on the line now and you're ready to go, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Josh, that's great information. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, is there a number to call?
Absolutely. Our main line, it comes direct to me. It's area code 832-955-9255. You can also shoot me an email, josh@fnfloan.com, or check our website, fnfloan.com, and just get some information. We have a lot of posts up there, a lot of information, links to our blog, which, will go take you through a bunch of articles and videos on our YouTube page, which will show you a lot of information on what loans are and what you should look at and what you should look forward to.
Yeah, that's great. Josh, hey, we'll have to catch up again soon. This is a fascinating topic, and I know there's a lot of people right now that could really benefit from what you understand and getting out of that rent situation, getting into another home. I think that's great.
Absolutely. So we've expanded recently into the Texas market. And this expansion into the Texas market comes at a time where we believe that the market's going to grow rapidly throughout the state of Texas, but also comes as a labor of passion. First Nation Financial, we've done every type of loan you can imagine. However, the primary focus for Texas is the first-time home buyer market. And that's what we're putting all of our emphasis and energy in. And the reason for that is that's where I see the most amount of value. Taking people from a renter and putting them in a home creates a future value, a future growth in asset. It's an investment in yourself and your family. A home is the most important part of the nuclear family. Keeping that together and developing the nuclear family, I think, is what's going to make your family better and is also going to help our country grow.
Yeah, I believe that too. All right, Josh, thanks for your time, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.
Absolutely pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
All right.